So we're still in quarantine, and a couple of days ago I asked on Instagram who wants to learn how to make pasta, and we got a very good response on that. So tonight I'm just going to be showing you how to make homemade pasta. I'm just going to be explaining what ingredients you all need. You only need 3, but we've added olive oil, so it's now going to be 4. It's a fairly simple recipe to remember. In here we have 100 grams of normal cake flour, which everyone has in their pantries. Over here we have 1 large egg. If you have extra large eggs, it's also fine, rather go bigger than smaller. And then here we have salt. We're just going to be using a pinch of salt. So yeah, the olive oil, we're just going to be looking with the eye because I made it the other day and it came out a bit too dry. So we had to add in some olive oil goodness. So I'm perfectly aware that some people might not just have extra virgin olive oil sitting in the cupboards during these times. If you do not, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil or plain old canola oil is also fine. Yeah, don't let your pasta not be made just because of your oil. Go for it. So now we're just going to be cracking the egg to make it ready to go into the bowl of our flour. Yes. Now I'm going to be showing you how to create the pasta dough. We just have our normal flour here still, and we're just going to create a well in the middle. Nice place for the egg to go and chill. Take a pinch of salt, just put it around the edges, maybe a little bit extra. And it's just plain old salt. We're going to take our egg, throw it right in the middle. You start incorporating the flour with the egg. The reason why we do this in a bowl is you could do it on a surface, but I tend to be very messy then. Okay, so you'll see while you are mixing it that clumps are going to form. We want to break those clumps in half so that the wetness of that clump can break open and connect to more flour, if I can put it that way. And now we're just going to be adding some olive oil. I'm going to start out with a very little bit amount because you never really know with olive oil. And now we're going to be turning it onto the surface. So I'm just going to roll my sleeves up because the next part we are going to be kneading the dough for about 10 to 12 minutes. And yeah, get ready for it. Right, so now we're just going to gather everything together, start forming a dough. You can obviously double the recipe if you want, then it's just 2 by 2 for everything. But just for showing purposes, I will only be doing a 1 by 1 recipe. So I just want to mention that a 1 by 1 ratio serves 2 portions of pasta. Alright, so now we're just having a look at the dough. It hasn't been that long kneading it, but this is what it looks like. It still looks a bit dry. So yeah, you should be kneading it for about 10 minutes. So don't stop, just keep going. Add water or olive oil to your hands before you knead again, just to add some more moisture to the dough, and then you can continue kneading with that on your hands. Do not apply it straight to the dough, it's not going to incorporate evenly everywhere. Alright, so we've been kneading now for 10 to 12 minutes. You can never over knead pasta. Right, so this is what it should look like. It should form a ball. Okay, so now we're just going to get it ready to rest in the fridge. Pasta dough needs to rest before you use it for 15 to 30 minutes. If it's this small, probably 15 minutes is fine. But we're just going to squish it into a rounder shape because this is going to help us later on when we're rolling it out, because I left my trusty pasta machine in Stellenbosch. Alright, so now we're just going to be wrapping the pasta dough into cling wrap, just so that it doesn't form a skin or go dry around the edges in the fridge. Right, so now it's been in the fridge for about 15 minutes, and we're just gonna open it up, and we're gonna start rolling it. When you're rolling it, make sure to lightly flour your surface, not too heavily, otherwise you're gonna dry out the dough. And you should probably be using like white bread flour or semolina flour works really great, but we don't have that. So we're just using normal flour. It is what it is. So the reason why we put the pasta dough in the fridge to chill is so that all the gluten that we spend so long trying to knead into the dough can relax to make it easier for us to roll out. I must warn you, this is probably the most challenging part about pasta, and should you have a pasta machine, life would be way easier, but we don't have it yet. So if you're wondering why I keep rotating the dough while rolling it out, is because we want to distribute the elasticity of the dough evenly throughout the whole surface of it. Yeah, it just makes it that much thinner. And if you think that your pasta dough is thin enough, then roll it some more, because it's never thin enough. It's going to swell up quite a lot when you put it into the hot water. Trust me. You'll know the dough is finished when you can see your hand through it, like that. That means it's thin enough. Or if you can even just see the table through it. So we're just going to flour it quite lightly, the surface of the dough. Just the other side as well. The reason why we're doing this is because we're going to cut it up now into the beautiful shape of however you want it. And we don't want it to stick together, because then it's just going to be a mess. Alright, so now our dough is rolled and ready. You don't need a pasta machine for this piece. This is actually the most fun part. So spaghetti is like the thinner ones, and we as a family really enjoy tagliatelle, which is your thicker one. So now pasta is ready to go into boiling water. Make sure you boil the kettle, put your water on the stove, and then you add some salt into your water. And it's always best for pasta to go into salted water. So as you can see, the water is boiling beautifully. We're going to add salt into our pot. Fair amount of that. And yeah, ready to just plump our pasta straight in. Make sure that your water is boiling before you add your pasta, because obviously the pasta is cold, the water is warm, so if it's not boiling, you're going to be adding it in and it's going to cool the water straight on down, and it's not going to start boiling for a while. Stir the pasta while it's in the pot. This makes that it doesn't stick together afterwards when you're going to add it to the sauce. The pasta isn't really known to be healthy, but there are ways to make it healthier. That would be to not overcook it. If the pasta turns out mushy, that means that there's more starch, which means it has a higher GI. So if it has a low GI, that just basically means that your body is going to absorb it a lot slower, which is a lot healthier for you. So depending on the thickness of your pasta, or if it's obviously thinner, it's going to cook a lot quicker. But usually homemade pasta cooks for like 3 to 5 minutes, but ours are a little bit thicker, so they took about 10 minutes to cook. So we're going to check if the pasta is cooked now. You can obviously taste it to see if it's cooked, or you can just have a look if there's no more rawness inside. But the best way how I like to taste it is to throw it against the wall. Obviously you have to throw it with force, but yeah, actions speak louder than words. A lot of people actually rinse pasta off. If you want to be healthier, that would work, because then it means you're getting rid of the starch on the surface of the pasta. But then you're losing a lot of flavor as well that you work so hard to get. So I would suggest just leaving it like that. As well, don't add olive oil or any oil on top of it or in the water. The only time that it really sticks to the pasta is when you drain it, and all that does is prevent it from harmonizing with the sauce. So there are various ways that you can make a pasta sauce. You can make a creamy sauce, a creamy bacon sauce, an Alfredo, anything like that, which we will also be making now. But my favorite way to enjoy pasta is a classical burnt butter and sage. It's really yummy, and you get the full flavors of that homemade pasta-ness. So it's difficult to say exactly how much butter. I always just go with the eye. But yeah, rather too much than too little. Quarantine looks like it's getting to the family. Okay, so There are two ways that you can see butter is burnt. The first way is simply just by smelling it. You can smell burnt butter. It doesn't smell bad, it actually really smells good. And the second way is, if you have a look here, it's quite brown and everything at the bottom is quite grainy. Yeah. So now is the perfect time to start adding the ingredients. While it is hot, it's going to fry up the same. Alright, so this is hot enough now, everything's fried up, the flavors have infused, it's smelling great. I love the smell, it's my all-time favorite. Now we're just going to turn off the heat, it's warm enough now, and we can just add in the cold pasta. It's going to bring down the temperature of this a lot. So we're just going to toss it around now, just to make sure that that flavor gets around or coats all the pasta in the pan. You can of course use appliances to shift this around. And it's looking great. Now we're just going to add a little bit of salt. I always add a little bit of salt. Just enhances all the flavors that you've already put in there. Okay, so now we're just going to dish it up. It can be quite a messy business. Luckily it's not this time around. Make sure that you get all that sage. It really is a lovely flavor. Put some pepper on. And there we have it, 2 portions of homemade pasta.